he's on his back in this shot, and it was such a joy to be able to sell him, and such a travesty what happened to him. Whoever got him didn't take care of him, because I saw pictures of him later, and look at his little teeth.
Again, they're made of
Silicone.
latex and stuff. It doesn't
Yeah.
last. It's
Yeah.
like what happens is what happens to them. It's hard to preserve. It's expensive to preserve. And even then, like you look at some of the old Muppet stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
latex doesn't keep.
Yep. No, you're right. It's just the guy who bought it said, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a nitrogen case for it." I'm like, "Oh, you did you?" So that's just what I'm lamenting. So
Also, uh, he bought it. It's his. He's allowed to do what he wants with it.
sidebar, you fully endorse that?
100%.
There is a person in the prop community who buys things and then cuts them up and alters them.
They're allowed to do that.
Of course, they're allowed to do that. The question is, that I'm saying is, should they do that? You know,
100%. It's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it. Um, I will say I've talked to some prop collectors who know you for your hard stance on that.
there we go. Because most of these, I have the hard stance on that, because the fact of the matter is, most of this stuff will outlast you, and those items will be
No,
reinvested back into the community, very likely, because whoever it is that has to get rid of all of your stuff, they're going to want to get, presumably, a good maximize their return out of it, and it's going to diminish the amount that it could potentially go for, because the provenance of the item has been damaged, if not destroyed. So I'm not saying that, not at all am I saying that when you get this, you have to sign something saying that you're never going to touch it. I'm not saying that at all. You're talking to a libertarian here who's very, very much, yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. What I'm also saying is that it's a dick thing to do. So those two things can exist simultaneously.
I understand what you're talking about, like diminishing its value. Yeah, totally. But also like one of the things I've been mentioning is like so many of these props, they fall apart and they degrade naturally on their own, or you'll get things where like we'll build something and then the lighting crew will come in and they'll put all their lights in it on set. And then when it's done, they will pull all their lights out and it comes with no lights when you buy the prop and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I light it? I don't like people ask me this constantly and I don't even know the people to know ask the answer to, let alone whatever light product it was 20 years ago, you probably can't even get. So you're just like, go find whatever. That's what I would do in the position when I would be asked for things like this.
To restore
You,
it to how it appeared on screen, not to alter it
I,
for its
but
own
even so,
sake.
I'm saying restoring it to how it appeared on screen is impossible. And I've worked with enough of taking old things from the show that we're using again in the show, and
For
we
production
can't restore
use.
them to how they
Mm-hmm.
were all the time. You make it work, you do the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
That is the nature of the process. And so when I see fans doing this, yeah, that's what we do. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. So there is no restoring it to what it was. We rework these things all the time. It's like taking a sandcastle and you pile up the sand just enough so you can take a picture of it at the top, and then
Mm-hmm.
it all falls down again. And then it's a bunch of work putting up new sand to do the same thing again.
So the Louvre can put a mustache on the Mona Lisa, and you're completely fine with it.
That's not at all the same thing.
It's very
Um,
much the same thing.
well, no,
You
because they
are
go in and they restore it as best they can when they rework
right.
these
They're
paintings.
restoring. They're not altering.
Yes, but can a private collector go and tear a painting in half? Yeah, they
All we're
can.
talking about
It's
is a
there.
question of law, not a question of what's right or what's wrong. So
Again,
these pieces are being held in trust for the future by the museums. What I'm suggesting is that as someone who possesses a lot of these pieces, I'm recognizing that while many of these pieces will not outlast me physically, they will deteriorate beforehand. Many will not. And I feel I have an obligation to the future to take care of them if it is within my power. And I find a deliberate alteration of them to make them, for this individual that I know, look better in person is an affront and a violation of the work that was created. It's a piece of film and television history, and you have a you should feel a responsibility to take care of it. I think it's the similar argument between like burning your country's flag. Sure, yeah, you can do it. I think that you, as a libertarian, I think that you should be able to. It's a dick thing to do, unless you're specifically using it as a symbol for protest for something. I mean, you can have that argument as well, and that's my only argument with it. But yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you can. There's all kinds of things that you can do,
what I'm
and then
trying to
there's
say is like
consequences
when
after.
people change it to like, hey, I need to light it, but I can't light it the authentic way.
Yeah,
The light's broken. I have to tear it apart.
yeah,
Like I actually have to damage it to even get in there
yeah.
to put lights in it. That's going to happen, and that um there's an aspect of it that has to happen
Oh
and
yeah,
always will happen.
yeah. To
I see someone
restore.
in the comments talking about Banksy shredding a picture during the auction.
Hmm.
That's a great example of it. Um, where it's like, no, the art piece is that it was destroyed during the auction, not what people thought it was going into the auction.
You're gonna have to give some background. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, no, there was a Banksy painting in a frame.
Banksy is so that's an artist.
Yes. And it
Okay,
sold for millions of dollars at auction, live auction.
okay.
And then someone remotely on Banksy's team or himself hit the button and it went through a shredder hidden in the frame.
Why? Was it designed to do that, or were they making a statement?
It was designed to do that, and they're making a statement. You should look up Banksy's work to understand more.
Okay.
He mostly started as a graffiti artist.
Okay. So it's the art is in the action itself.
Yes, and so part of that was like
Well, I
it
can
was a very.
appreciate that.
I think some of it was just like a no, like the people spending money on art. This is silly, you know.
Hmm.
Um, was one of the things he was trying to say with it. What I'm trying to say is like a lot of this stuff can't be preserved. You have to change it if you want to be able to have it work.
Yeah,
Like
that's
getting
not
it.
what I'm arguing. That's not what I'm arguing for
Yeah, but
or
also like
against.
can people transform it and make it their own thing? They're allowed to.
Yes, they can.
Do
They are
do
allowed
people?
to. But I think that I I think that it there's a conversation to be had there as well about the future. Restoring, like damaging stuff in order to restore it with someone who's like really. May I give it a specific example of what happened to me? And please, God, let him not be watching. I have one of the 3 spacesuits that you guys built for the Vanir in my living room downstairs.
Yeah,
And stupidly, so stupidly, I plugged it in and had it run a lot. The first thing that I did, like every time I was home, not realizing LEDs from that early on had an even more finite lifespan than the ones that we have now do.
yeah,
And lo and behold, oh my God, the chess piece went out. It burnt
yeah.
out. And my guy down the road, who I had rip off the back panel on the inside and install a power plug that I could plug into the wall for it, restoring the ability or creating an ability for it to run continuously as opposed to on batteries, said, yeah, that was going to happen. I'm like, shit. Okay, very good. And I said, okay, well, here's the box. I said, can you make this work again? He said, no, you can't. and I'm not sure if he was right, so I kept it for years and years. I've got it somewhere, but I returned it to him. This one that the one that you guys made, it had holes in the front where the lights went through, or the light went through, and that specific sequence. And I was hoping, I gave it back to him, and I asked him, restore this for me as best you can. And he said, got it, totally. So I got it back, and I can see bulbs, plastic fronts of the bulbs sticking through the holes. I'm like, that's interesting. And I plugged it in, and there's a square piece on that chest that was lit when it was on Atlantis, but was not backlit when it was on Universe. It was now lit up again. And it's got all these different Christmas lights colors going. And he says, look, I made it more colorful. And I said, yeah, you did. I sent you the video of the light sequence and which light goes where. And the prominence of this piece has been reduced by the alterations that you made without, and one of the reasons that I paid you as much as I paid you, faithfully restoring it as best you could to the version that was in the show. And I don't know how much of that I told him. Similarly, I had the USS George Hammond plaque from the Hammond. Duh.
I think saw that picture in there, and I remember making a few small pieces for it.
Yep. And the paint job, the paint was scuffed and everything. And I had a friend who was very good with paint. And I was like, there's like 3 layers of paint. They're 3 different colors. She said, don't worry, I've got it. It came back, amazing job. It's seamless. I turn it over. She's painted the back of it. And she said, she was like, yeah, I did a great job on the back too. I said, Jan, did you see all the stage instructions that were written here with pencil on the back, you know, explaining details about the set and everything else? She's like, yeah, but I didn't think anything about that. I was like, okay. I appreciate the paint job that you did on the back for something that no one will ever see. But, and definitely it didn't show up on film, but at the same time, it's a lesser thing now than it was potentially when I turn around to share the story of this piece in the future, if I perhaps sell it on before which is more than likely going to happen. I'm going to sell it far sooner than my time on this earth. It's little things like that just frustrate me. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this.
Oh, my first thought is that is like part 1 of learning to let go when you're not in full control of working on a team. Someone else is going to do it differently. All the time. Every time. And I work on creative projects where there's 3 or 4 people above me and someone is like, I want to build this. And we all build bits and pieces that all aren't what they envisioned. And yet we all still have to move forward with it. And that's the creative process.
Oh, yeah.
So
you guys are the creators though. So it makes sense.
No, but I'm saying
stuff later for other productions.
But like where you gave someone a direction to paint and they do it differently, like there's an aspect of it that's maybe your contract for, hey, do it this way and how much instruction you give them. But like, it's always going to be different than what you envision. There's always going to be something that bothers you about the way it works. That is inherent to this process at all levels, all the time. And internally on this show, even, we would build something and it wouldn't be what they envisioned. And we'd go make revisions or we would not, depending on the time, money, and the decision going on. But like that thing where it's never quite the same or never what you envision, that is always there. And it's always as strong as what you just described. And learning to move forward through that is a really important skill.
The pieces that prop collectors possess, they don't have them because, well, in some cases they have it because it was production made if it was never used on screen. Yeah. But a lot of us, pretty much everyone, wouldn't own the piece or have paid as much money for the piece unless it had appeared on screen and is a slice of that show's history.
Yes,
And if
and
it was
like
reused later, that makes sense for another project. That makes sense. But then for me, who's not involved in the production, to put a mustache on the Asgard puppet, for instance, is my right
well,
as its owner.
I ruined the Asgard puppet. Like that's a really good example of it. Like I glued a thing on that doesn't come off.
To be used in production.
Yeah, but also just like
That's not what I'm talking about because you
no.
used it for production.
And what I'm saying is everyone else doing this same thing all the time is how these things get used. Yes, you care about it that way, but the person you hired to do it didn't understand it the same way, and you hadn't conveyed it to them the same way. And that
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and
and
that's
what
on
I'm saying
me.
is that aspect of communication in the creative process is
Yeah,
universal in and out and everywhere else all the
yeah.
time. This always happens. So like what I'm trying to say is if you get anyone to do work
Mm-hmm.
on your stuff, it's not going to be the same as what you want always. And so this problem, if you're ever getting work done on your props, it will always happen. This is always going to happen. And like, but the thing is that process happens all the time, all the way through. No one building it is bothered by that process. It's only those of us who really care about it and are invested in the show, because I am too. I get it, but like, they can. It's fine.
Oh, sure.
I don't agree with it either, but like, um,
I think you and I are
I'm
probably coming at this exact same conclusion just from two completely different directions based on what I'm hearing here.
sort of, but also like one of my collector friends did mention you. He was doing the same stuff too, and you were getting his face about it.
I was getting in his face about it.
Yeah, in person.
I'm even more proud of myself now. Good. I'm
I'm
glad I
not.
did. Okay. It's all
No,
right.
I disagree with it, but that's okay.
That's all right. I mean, that's it's free speech. What I'm talking about is uh, not when production uses it.
No, I'm talking about when people are trying to preserve and keep it the same way.
Right.
You got in their face about that same thing that you just defended now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it not my right to be able to express my opinion with what he was doing of his own stuff?
Yeah, but you could
It's
not be a
still a
dick about
dick
it.
thing to do.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. He has a right to do with it what he wants, and I have the right to express my opinions on it. And I know who you're talking about, and that's okay. He wasn't harmed. Um, it, I think one of the distinctions that wasn't being made between the two of us is if it's reassigned by production to be something else, then that makes perfect sense because it's still going to represent whatever it was in the last show that it was used in. Because so you can't be precious about something if it has to be used for production because things change and are altered by production all the time. And so that absolutely makes sense. In the situation that I'm talking about here, when we sold the Asgard puppet after it had been used in the Lost Tribe, which is the last episode that it was in, my hope would be that whoever got it would maintain it from how it looked in the Lost Tribe. Because for a while there, we were thinking of removing the piece that was on his head because he didn't normally appear mostly as that. But then it was like, but the chest piece doesn't come off. And then you're going to have a discontinuity. And so we sold him as is.
Yeah.
Because
But
that's,
even then, like it's made of something that's going to rot. It like there's an effort to be able to preserve it, but also just understanding like after about 20 years,
sure.
it's not going to look the same at all anyway,
Oh,
no matter
absolutely.
what you do.
Yeah, it's a ship of Theseus paradox, is what
Oh,
it is. Is the Mona Lisa, the paints that we see when we go into the Louvre, and I've seen it in person. The paint that I'm looking at is not the paint that Leonardo applied to it. I understand that.
Yeah,
Someone
but
has
also just
made
like,
the deliberate effort to preserve it for the future.
and then some things we take and we just transform them into something else, and that's okay too.
Absolutely. It is. Well, it is your right to do that. okay is subjective.
Well, no, but also like think about restoring old cars
Hmm.
to collectors or to turn it into a hot rod that's got a big chrome extra engine
Hmm.
in it. Both of those are cool things to do with old cars, and
Hmm.
we celebrate both of them. This is the same
Oh
way.
yeah, and you can take a giant can opener to the thing and use it as an art piece to display it at various events because it's yours to do that with. Um, but how people feel about it is going to be inconsistent from one person to the next. And as far as I am concerned, diversity of opinion is the spice of life. And if I could force whoever our mutual contact was to go back in time and undo it, I wouldn't. It's his. My
I'm glad
point,
you understand that part.
of course, I understand that part. I'm not a fascist. The point is that just because if someone doesn't think exactly how I think, it's not going to bother me. Anyone who thinks that I have to believe the way that they do is a fascist. The It's just not ideal from my circumstances because we have a different mindset about what it is about the pieces that we have. And that's what it boils down to what it is. If you're trying to make something look like it did in the show, but to the naked eye be more realistic, that makes a lot of sense because you can photograph things with cameras and bring out certain things in certain lighting. But if it's in front of you, it's not necessarily going to look like it did in the show. If you're doing that with that intent of making it more authentic to what it was on the screen, that makes a lot of sense. But to be like, oh, I'm adding lights to it here to make it look cooler. Yeah, you can do that, and I will never use any mechanism of law or courts or anything else to stop you because it is yours. But it's a dick thing to do. Just like me going up to a person and saying, well, it wouldn't be a dick thing for me to do for me to say that I disagree with that. If I yelled at him, then that's a dick thing to do. But it's also, I mean, I don't think I yelled at. If he said
I,
that,
I,
then that's not
I
the
recall
case.
someone saying that you got in their face about it and it was confrontational.
Oh,
In
confrontational probably, but never got like up in their face. That doesn't sound like me.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing and I don't
yeah,
remember the exact words.
right.
I will say I see someone in the comments saying Mark invested time, talent, heart, and brains to create his works of art. It makes me sad to know someone could destroy or alter them. It's work for hire. I don't even own it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I would build these things and like as soon as it was finished, like that hour, it would go out the door and I'd never see it again.
Yep, yep. You can't
So
be
like
precious.
you
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 don't
have
have.
to let go
Yeah, you
real
have no
hard.
time. That's
No,
exactly right. A buddy of mine wrote to me. He just texted me in WhatsApp. He said, "For what it's worth, this is his opinion to me. For what it's worth, you're absolutely right regarding the collector modifying props, altering the object after production ends, changes its authenticity, provenance, and aura. Good, blah 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 blah. The fact of the matter is, it's just my opinion,
yeah.
and I
But
I, I
also
think
like
it's interesting that that there are people on both sides of the conversation. So
there's an aspect of like we can't even preserve without altering. This stuff isn't made to last
yeah,
at
I'm not
all.
arguing that. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, a lot of this stuff is gonna break before I sell it. My point was, and I'll lay it to rest after this, was the intent behind what it is that's being done.